Over the years, I've had several comments about this old red Chevy truck that hangs out in the background, so I thought I'd just tell you the story. My interest in restoring an old truck goes back to 1999. In that year, I bought an old truck. It was actually the same body style and within the same year or two of this truck, but it was green. Within 1 week of getting that truck home, I learned two important pieces of information. One, your wife's going to have a child, and the other one was you've gotten a fellowship to go back to graduate school. Both of these things changed my life and made me realize I didn't have the money to restore an old truck. We fast forward to 2019, I found this truck online on Facebook Marketplace, but it was in Ohio. To complicate matters, it was around Christmas time. We drove back to the Midwest, Missouri, for Christmas. Now, what it was going to be an 8-hour trip has now turned into a 16-hour trip. So I broke the trip up into 2 days. And the first day, I drove from Missouri to Granville, Ohio. I looked at the truck, but it was dark, and so I still wanted to see the truck in the morning. So we took the morning to look at the truck, do a roundabout with the truck, and we went to the bank and paid for the truck. By the time we left, it was almost noon. We loaded it up and then trailer over U-Haul. The way I like to describe the rest of the trip home was that I was driving this big clunky U-Haul. It was raining. It was pouring the entire time. And I had this piece of history that I didn't want to damage on the back. So I drove carefully, and that 7.5-hour trip became a 10-hour trip. When we got the truck home, I learned very quickly old trucks need some work. When we took it out on the road, after 2 rides, there was smoke coming out of this back wheel. The spring had broke, and it was causing the brake shoe to rub against the drum. After we replaced all the parts for the 48 drum brakes, we then discovered several other problems or opportunities to improve the truck. The first one was the valve cover. The valve cover was a simple fix. We only had to take out 4 bolts and then clean the mating surfaces and put the valve cover back down. While we were under the truck, we noticed the suspension had seen a lot better days in the last 75 to 80 years. It was almost completely shot. We needed to replace the shocks and, more importantly, the leaf springs. In fact, when we took one of them off the truck, it completely fell apart. And now we're trying to think about what we're going to do with these, and we've been thinking about making some knives. I should note that we found a guy in Kansas that makes replacement leaf springs for old Chevy trucks, and that's where we got the replacement ones. Fixing the suspension made a big difference. The truck rode much better. But then we noticed when we went to take it out for a ride a few days later that it would not start. There were 2 problems. The first one was the ignition coil. We had to replace the ignition coil. And the second one was it would only intermittently start after that. And that was because the starter was not engaging the flywheel. Another problem I had was with the fuel gauge. When they converted the voltage from a 6 volt to a 12 volt, they forgot to put a resistor on the fuel gauge. This caused the truck to always read full. So one day when I took the truck for a drive, I was out going along and then I ran out of gas. One of the fun things that happened was maybe 6 people stopped and talked to me. And it took me probably half an hour to put gas in the truck because everyone wanted to stop and talk to me about the old truck. We were now able to start the truck. So we took it out for some drives. And this was fun, except for we noticed that we had trouble braking, and this was a concern. It would stop, but not very well. Before you ask, we did bleed the brakes. I do have a son who is a car mechanic that was helping. Because we were having trouble with the brakes, we decided to replace the front brakes with disc brakes. And while replacing the drum brakes, we noticed that one of the lines had a pinhole in it, and that would have been our problem in stopping. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We did much more with the brakes than putting on race car brakes. We also needed to change out the single chamber master cylinder with the dual chamber master cylinder. That way the front and rear brakes were split, so if there was ever a problem, then you would still have brakes if one of the two failed. We also replaced all the brake lines on the entire truck. Since they were all 80 years old, we wanted to replace them with good brake lines. This required me to learn how to bend and flare brake lines, and this was an experience. So I replaced the brake lines on the entire truck, and while I was at it, I was having fun bending brake lines. I realized I could also replace this very old fuel line, and so I replaced this non-aesthetic looking fuel filter with one that was period correct and created a new fuel line coming from the fuel pump. But I should say this whole ensemble with the brakes took at least a year. It was a big journey. I spent a lot of time under the truck, and while under there I noticed some light coming through the floorboards of the cab. And I noticed that in some areas the cab corners were rusted through. So what I did next is I hopped in the cab with a scraper and I began to remove some sort of thick tar substance. It was clear that somebody had put this over the corroded metal in order to avoid replacing the sheet metal. So after removing the layers of the tar substance, I noticed that there were sections on the passenger side and on the driver's side that needed to be replaced. So what we did is we removed those bad sections and cut those out and then welded in new panels over the course of what has been the last 2 years. It wasn't that we did this full-time, it was a part-time endeavor, and we just did it on weekends when we had free time. Another thing that we had to do was remove many of the interior components from the cab before we started welding, because this created a lot of dust and a lot of particles we didn't want pitting and embedding on the rest of the cab. We did not remove the seat and we just covered it, and you might wonder why. Well, we needed this additional space in the garage to do woodworking. After finishing the sheet metal panels, we realized that we wanted to update the wiring harness as well. So the wiring harness was the original one, and when they switched it over from 6 volts to 12 volts, they had only done kind of a halfway job. We are actually in the process of updating the wiring harness to a new one. I should tell you that the fenders were taken off so that we'd get better access for welding to both the inside of the cab and to the side of the cab that faces the engine. We also wanted to have access to easily remove the wiring harness and put the new wiring harness in place. When the truck's drivable again, we're going to replace these rims with some stylish looking new ones, or ones that are replicas of the original rims. So here we've got a powder coated red one, and we also have replica hubcaps. We have not talked about the drivetrain. This is a 1948 Chevy truck, but it has a Chevy 235 1954 engine in it. Aside from the engine, the rest of the drivetrain is thought to be original. This includes a 3-speed transmission and a 3 on the tree, or 3-speed shifter on the column. There's a torque tube instead of a drive shaft. So everything we talked about so far is the history of the truck, but we have not talked about where woodworking comes into play. There are actually 3 woodworking projects that I had in mind. The first one is that we have to store the flat kit, the jack and things like that somewhere, and underneath the seat is a good place for this truck. So we're going to make a wooden box to house all of those things and try to make it stylish. There are rails that were common in these types of trucks. We were going to make some rails out of oak and replace the pine bed that was in the truck with some red oak boards, and this will require us to do some joinery and break out some of our hand tools. Another project is fixing the rear differential. While the truck was sitting here, over time the fluid leaked out of the rear differential, and so we need to take the rear differential cover off and reseal it. The heater is another project that has several sub-projects embedded. So I'm on the ladder here because I had stored the heater up here on my shelves. Let me show you the first project here, and that is the heater core. We don't know if the heater core leaks, whether or not it's sealed. That will be some of our first tests to check that out. We will want to check out the tubing on the internal of this to make sure that that also doesn't leak. And our fan on the back side, this is originally set up for a 6-volt battery. However, we have a 12-volt battery in the truck now. There needs to be a resistor in line so you don't burn up the motor. Thank you for watching today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. We hope you've enjoyed this tour of our history with this truck. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. However, if your suggestion is to do an LS swap, I won't do that.